Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions?
There's a lot of amazing news up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. We're going to be covering some of it. But if you're watching us on television, you see our standard yellow star. We call it the sun, that we orbit. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then out into the gas giants and the Kuiper Belt. And one of the biggest threats is out there between the gas giants, and that's the asteroid field. It's estimated that there's the equivalent of hundreds of planets worth of wreckage floating in orbit around the sun. And a lot of those get kicked out on different tracks, along with comets and other planetary visitors, and plunge into the Earth's surface. They even have Sirius Discovery Channel scientific programs where they now show satellite photos of the huge craters all over the world. Before the Shoemaker-Levy comet, was it Saturn it plunged into? Jupiter. Yeah, I remember having Shoemaker and Levy on before they died in a car wreck, or the Shoemaker family. I've had Levy on after they died. Amateur, professional, quasi, finding that comet and then estimating that it would hit Jupiter. And then the comet blowing holes, 6 holes, as it broke up coming into the atmosphere, bigger than Earth. Some people even thought it might ignite, but it didn't, the gas giant, and turn it into a sun. In fact, if Jupiter got ignited, many estimate it would be a smaller second sun. That's what the whole 2001 Space Odyssey thing ends with. And then when Jupiter ignites into a sun and destroys the wormhole gate that's there, it's called Lucifer. So that's all the occultism of the establishment and how they flaunt it in everybody's face. There was even a leaked NASA plan to actually run that project. But I digress. It was blowing holes in the side of the planet, the gas giant. You go look it up for yourself. I'm going from memory here. Bigger than the Earth. Now, that's the universe we live in. And the United Nations voted back in Copenhagen when they were pushing a World Government Conference 5-6 years ago that the sun does not affect climate. Well, we know it's the main driver of climate. Tectonic energies are clearly, according to all the scientists I've interviewed, the experts. Again, I've gone and interviewed the experts. They always say, oh, you're not a scientist, you can't speak to these things. Barbara Boxer talking down to people like they're idiots. Like she only has the knowledge. That's that MSNBC attitude that anybody else that doesn't do exactly what they say is dumb and they're so smart. Then you go meet one of their followers, they can hardly talk. They're just ruled by these arrogant crones that sit up on them as mob bosses trying to ban free speech and restrict all these liberties. And, oh, let's Bill Nye the Science Guy. Let's arrest anybody that disagrees with man-made climate change. Thought it was warming. And so what I'm getting at here is the next big force is tectonic. The next big heat source is the Earth, still molten from its creation and the pressures of its mass. There's a debate whether the moon has a molten center or not. Most scientists think it's probably cooled by now. Doesn't have the pressures needed to continue to heat. But those are some of the mysteries of the universe. Those are some of the things that scientists are still trying to completely discover. But we're in a very active universe. Again, if you're a radio listener, you can go to Infowars.com/show to see what I'm talking about. It adds another dimension, as I say, to the transmission. And then most experts agree, and this is the compendium of research, that the third driver of climate on the Earth Number one is the sun. Number two is tectonic movement and heat. Number three is the moon. The moon is huge. It controls the tides. It manipulates what's happening inside the earth. It has a massive effect on when plants and animals release their pollen, when they mate, when the fish run. It's all known to be kind of the clock of the earth. And also the space winds and the solar winds are blocked by the moon. Even though it's smaller than the earth, when the winds go over it, they have radio telescope shots of this and magnetic field telescopes. It goes like a teardrop over it. And the moon, when properly positioned, completely blocks the earth from solar radiation and space winds. Pretty amazing, huh? Or space winds coming from that direction. There's just all sorts of different types of radiation and fields and light and dark matter energy that they know is there. They can read it on meters. It's stronger than our energy, but they can't tell what it is because it's interdimensional. But they see the pressure wavelengths of whatever's in those other dimensions weighing in. And they have lower dimensional fields showing up and higher dimensional fields and then other dimensional fields and vortexes. And then we have the establishment telling us that men reading teleprompters, walking around on red carpets with foppish, sycophantic crowds, telling them they're gods. And these are the people that endanger our planet, that have created all sorts of super high-tech weapons and now think they're God, or genetically engineering every species they can get their hands on, that are creating cross-species chimeras. Chimera, potato. And there's just no sense of restraint in the race for power because, well, if we create the new AI supercomputers, it'll merge with us, we'll live forever. And if we do all the genetic engineering randomly with gene guns, randomly splicing thousands of species a day at major laboratories, we'll find new super secrets and we'll implant the humans and humanoid cows and sheep that are part human and won't reject it. And the best part is the animals have no rights and the humans have no rights because they're not actually human or animal. And then the environmentalists are controlled by us through the globalist think tanks with Dr. Peter Singer. And PETA is really the Animal Liberation Front, and we're in control and guide the whole movement. Don't warn anybody about the real problems. See, we got it all figured out. They got it all figured out. They know what they're doing. And I was talking to my lawyer yesterday. Yeah, let's look at that headline for a second. What's that out of the Express? Yeah, London Express. Yeah, look at that. Scientists open mass cloning factory this year to clone cows, pets, and humans. I notice they always act like it hadn't really been developed yet. They've been cloning since the 30s with rabbits. They've been cloning humans, we know, since the 50s. And they just always, oh, we don't know if we can do that, like we're children. And they've got all these weird cross-species animals you can buy that rich people are getting and stuff now. And you tell the general public that, they just roll your eyes. They have cross-species salmon that's 3 times bigger and they admit is going to extinct regular salmon already in the ocean. Oh, they magically just let it go. Oh, oops, they're playing God, folks. They're on power trips. They're playing dice, Russian roulette on purpose for the nihilistic thrill of doing it all. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't know if there was a real Atlantis. Plato said it was real. Other cultures did as well. Blew up out by the Atlantic Ocean. They found all sorts of weird isotopes in the rock that submarines have gotten in the different areas. But here's what I'm getting at. Whether it's comets or whether it's asteroids, you add in new threat matrices. Because previously, scientists said, oh, we believe every few million years a comet or huge asteroid that causes an earth-changing event that darkens the skies for a few years, creates a mini ice age, and kills most of the life forms. We think it happens every 2 million years. Now scientists have gone and they've studied the rock in thousands of large craters, hundreds of humongous ones, bigger than Meteor Crater, you know, out in Arizona. And they know that it happens probably every couple 100,000 years or more. Because they find ice ages in the ice core samples that weren't a couple thousand years long on the dormancy cycle of the sun every 10, 12,000 years. They're finding little ones and partial ones all over. And then they check the isotopes and they check the different compound minerals that are created. And they know the signature of even certain meteors and what they were made out of and what those meteors / asteroids did. And so we're sitting here with the clock going, I mean, you talk about a global government, it should be a consortium of nations working together to have anti-comet and anti-asteroid defense systems. But see, they don't want you to have all that. There's a race to get all the power first for the elite, wall us off, dumb us down, cull us out with mind control and bioweapons. While they're all racing as fast as they can to get life extension, and then they think supercomputers will be so fast and so great, they'll just manifest all these super technologies overnight in the singularity, when the singularity is just something that Ray Kurzweil came up with, who thinks he's going to resurrect his dead dad with his dad's diary and papers. No, Kurzweil, you're not going to resurrect your dead dad with that. Maybe in the future you could record everything in his brain, have a copy of it, and claim that was really him, but it won't be his essence, his soul, his spirit. But your daddy ain't coming back, whack job. And you're not going to become the first God. Look around you, brother. There is a real God. You ain't it. I ain't it. You arrogant, narcissistic loon bag. I deal with so many crazy people in my life, and they're savage, they're nuts, they think they're invincible. They're easy to defeat like a lobotomized zombie, but you still got to deal with them. It's like having one in your backyard that's crawling along, and you can't sit there and have lemonade. You're going to fall asleep. It's going to chew your throat out. They just think they're so smart. The arrogance, the delusion, because we've created an artificial world where people don't have to live in the real confines of the real world. People started fights, they've pushed people around, they've done stuff, and they've never had to get their nose broken for it. And that's why they want a nanny state, so all these little babies are delusional and don't live in the real world and don't understand what's really going on and don't have any real ideas about what they're dealing with. So they're not worried about NSA spying. They're not worried about checkpoints. They're not worried about forced vaccines. They're not worried about GMO. They're not worried about anything because they are delusional until they get cancer or until they get a neurological disorder. And then they go to the races and sit in the stands, dying of cancer. And everybody waves at them when they go for the jog, the 10K to raise money. And then they feel like a victim and are a movie star while they're dying and, get all into it. And they've got a whole program for you. And the end of humanity's coming, and we'll all be little rock stars during it. And we all knew our species was bad, and we're all just going to accept it. So you think nothing's going to happen to you till it's happening to you. And I'm telling you, folks, it is happening to you. Our children are being brain damaged and brainwashed by the TV and the screen time. The GMO is killing us and changing our DNA. The elite are like psycho mad scientists on PCP. There are hundreds of volcanoes suddenly becoming active at a level they've never seen in modern history. There are all sorts of sinkholes forming everywhere, earthquakes happening all over the place, crazy mass die-offs and stuff going on, all sorts of secret testing going on. The elite are trying to kill the planet, as best I can tell, while they claim they're trying to save it. High school textbooks we've shown you teach children that there is chemtrailing going on and that they're doing it to save the earth. I got sent links this weekend by friends that it was on Weather Channel admitting they're chemtrailing us and how they do it for our own good. See, it doesn't exist, but we're doing it. There is a global government, but we're doing it. There is a secret Department of Energy program, but it's not what the kooks say. It's for your own good. And then we find out all over the world, the aluminum's getting so high, plants can't grow and are dying. Why are you doing this, New World Order? Well, you come to kill, steal, and destroy. I mean, I'm not saying you're the devil. That's what the Bible says he does. You want to come to kill, steal, and destroy. And you go about like a lion roaring, seeing who you may devour. Because I used to think that was like in Friday the 13th movies where the woman's running and she falls down on purpose and then crawls on her legs don't get me. I used to think, oh, that's made up. Then I've actually seen video and footage now and, you know, crime scene stuff where that's actually what a lot of people do is they fall down. Someone walks their house with a butcher knife. Grown men just go, and the person gets to stab them. That was bred into you. The wimpiest person 100 years ago, I don't care if it was the U.S., Africa, Germany, Mexico, I don't care where you were. You come pull a knife on anybody, they're going to fight you because they got an instinct. But see, they flipped the instinct off. I mean, somebody walks here with a butcher knife to attack me, this table's going over on them, I'm going to literally, my teeth are going to, I'm going to just literally start baring my teeth and just go completely ape on them. And it's not because I'm even a tough guy. I'm normal. You want to kill me? How about you die? And that's what I'm telling the New World Order. Listen, I see you. Man, you're ugly. Man, you stink. Man, you're evil. Wow. If there wasn't a devil before, you've now manifested it. You're at Satan's real. And you know what? I look at you, you snot-nosed, demon-eyed maggot. I'm going to get my hands around your neck with God's help. And we're going to absolutely, metaphysically twist your head off your little shoulders. All I know is I don't want to be around this or a part of it.
You still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.